Okay, is it visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Okay, so in our previous lecture, when we have started studying this modernism, uh, we have seen something. Now, this is for your revision. That we have seen that this is a literary period. Modernism is actually a literary and artistic period uh, of 20th century, and this period is started in later 19th century, and due to some of the very important changes which were noticed in the period, like World War First, which was started in 1914 till 1918. The period of World War First is 1914 to 1918. Another one is Industrial Revolution. Then human mobility means people are moving from one place to another one. Because of some technological advancements, now people can travel far, and it becomes very easy for everyone to travel by train or by steam engines or by these type of technical tools. So due to this human mobility, now, these are some of the important changes one can notice in later 19th century or early 20th century. And that's why this changes brought a drastic change or a drastic effect on people as well as on the social and cultural situation. So you find that this industrial revolution brought very different effect to the people. Man turned to machine, and there is uh, a new situation where a machine became more important than human being. And this human mobility, humans are moving from rural area to urban areas to get a job in different factories and workplaces. So everything is noticed in this 20th century, but most of the important element or event of this 20th century is World War First. And this World War First brought destruction uh, and you find that too many people are killed at the time, that it people started thinking pessimistic, and they started feeling very you find they started feeling hopelessness and meaninglessness of their life, that why they are living or what is the reason that they are doing something. So it brought different philosophical ideas like existentialism, nihilism, that there is no meaning of their survival. So all these things are happening. All their ideas and their philosophies are turning like this because of the effect of World War First. Because too many people died at the time, and people witnessed death as well as the destruction of their family members and their career as well. There were too many young people died or they lost their career, so it becomes very difficult for them to survive. Now if the era is like that, એટલે કે જો એની એજ છે એ એનું બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ છે એમાં જેમાં વર્લ્ડ વોર હોય, there were too many people died, તો એનું લિટરેચર છે કેવું હોય. So how the literature is I mean what about art and literature of that century? Of course they are going to project their anxiety, and pessimism, as well as their fragmented life. In art and literature, because the life becomes too difficult, there was an angst in themselves કે આવું કેમ થાય છે, એવી એક angst છે, anger છે કે anxiety છે, એ બધું એ શેમાં reveal કરશે? Art and literature. So they are revealing everything in art and literature. And of course this modernism is totally or you can say anti-traditional. Traditional, they don't have any respect for their tradition, they don't believe in following traditional way of writing as well as traditional way of doing anything. So it is anti-traditional. So their art is new and experimental. They started experimenting with their art forms. So this modernism is a movement in visual art and literature. So it can be noticed that the visual art like painting, sculpture, એ બધા છે visual arts છે, એમાં પણ તમને એક experimental જોવા મળે છે. They are turning very different from the conventional way of painting. So there are a few examples. થોડાક examples. Today we are going to move forward. We will study some examples of art and literature. કે કેવી રીતે કેવું લગતા હતા, why they are too much different. Okay, so first we are going to view some visual arts, and then we will see that example of literature. Okay, so this is a painting by Pablo Picasso, and the name of the painting is Girl with a Mandolin. And you can find that this is not a clear painting. There are too many fragments. એટલે કે જાણે કટકા જોડેલા હોય એવું લાગે છે. It is not clear. You will find that there are only pieces put together, and somewhere if the name is not given, then it becomes very difficult for us to find a girl who is playing her mandolin. So this is a cubist painting. Cubist, it is a cubism is also a movement in painting. So it is a cubist painting where you will find different cubes and squares put together, and there's the shape of a cube or a square is making a painting. So it presents that the view of the world, or the painting is presented with different fragments. એટલે આખું નહીં પણ કટકા કટકા છે, એ જોડીને એક પેઇન્ટિંગ બનાવ્યું છે, because they are trying to find unity and wholeness in art form or literature, because they are not able to find unity in their life. So they are seeking for unity and wholeness in art instead of their life. Are you getting it or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And now a second example is from literature. Now this is a very famous poem of W.B. Yeats. The title of the poem is The Second Coming. This poem is also considered a modernist poem. Why it is so? Because there are some characteristics of modernist literature the poem is having. So this poem is written in 1919. It means the year after the First World War ended. The First World War ended in 1918. So this poetry is written in the transitory period. It means transitory year 1919. And this poem is also discussing chaos and anarchy of World War First. Now you can find these type of phrases in the poem. I am reading some of the lines. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosened upon the world. So these are some of the phrases which are telling that the situation is of anarchy and chaos. So everywhere things fall apart. So things are falling apart and center cannot hold. Mad anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood deemed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is droned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. So here the tone is pessimistic, as well as you will find that it describes the situation of anarchy after World War first. So it means that the poet is not praising the situation, but he is somewhere feeling pessimistic towards whatever is going on in the world. That innocent people are dying, and even the world is not in a coherent order. And still, the poet is discussing about the historical cycle. That one after another, after destruction, there must be new rise. For example, he is here referring that surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand. I hope you are familiar with the idea of second coming. In Christianity, they believe that after the death of Jesus Christ, there will be another incarnation of God, uh, as we call avatar, new avatar of God will come and save them. So here also W.B. Yeats is putting the question that there must be this second coming. It means that they are passing through the setting of what we say kainat, or the end of the world, and then there will be new beginning. So the situation is of chaos and anarchy, or like the world is ending, and that's why he is telling that surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming, hardly are those words out when a vast image out of spiritus mundi troubles my sight. Somewhere in sands of the desert, a shape with lion body and the head of a man. Now, lion body and a head of a man. This is a very much Indian concept of Narsi. Uh, Narsi is also an avatar of a god, which we call એટલે કે જેનું મુખ છે એ માણસનું છે, પણ બોડી છે એ સિંહનું છે. So this is Nrusi avatar. That's why we also celebrate it. So this he is referring here. A gaze blank and pitiless as the sun is moving its slow thighs, while all about it real shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again, but now I know that 20 centuries of stony slip were waxed to nightmare by a rocking cradle. It means that now, because there is darkness everywhere, the darkness drops again. It is something like the cradle is rocking, and the second coming is going to uh, born again. And what rough beast, it's our come round at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born. So is it that we are waiting for this new avatar of God or second coming? That's why there is too much destruction and destroy that they are witnessing. એટલે કે આટલું બધું destruction થઈ ગયા પછી હવે એવું લાગે છે that there will be second coming. This is the last phase of the world, and then there will be something new will come there. So there must be an avatar of this lion body and head of a man, Nusi, and he will be very dangerous or like a beast, and he is going to born in Bethlehem. So this poem is ending with a question that is this destruction indicating this second coming or not? So somewhere you find that this poem is indicating the chaos and anarchy, the situation of chaos and anarchy at the time. એટલે એવું લાગે છે કે જાણે આ અંત આવી ગયો છે દુનિયાનો. So this is the poem Second Coming by W.B. Yeats. Now this is one of the example that how modernist literature presents the anarchy or the destruction of the age. Now this is another piece of poetry, and that is these lines are taken from the Wasteland, which is written by T.S. Eliot. Now the Wasteland is a very big poem, very lengthy one, It is divided in 5 parts. A poem બહુ જ લાંબી છે and it is divided in 5 parts. 5 પાર્ટમાં લખાયેલું છે and you will find it somewhere very difficult to read as well as somewhere very difficult to find unity in the poem. કેમકે we are going to read the poem, so you will understand that there are fragments put together. એટલે કે અલગ અલગ કટકાઓ છે જ્યાં ક્યાંય મેળ બેસતો નથી પણ એને ભેગા કરેલા છે. But there is unity. આ કટકા છે પણ છતાંય તેમાં theme છે તો એક ને એક જ છે. There is one idea or the central idea the poet is talking about. So that we will see. Now once again there is a description of this urban city, and you will find the description is very you find a very dark or satirical somewhere, that he is starting that unreal city under the brown fog of a winter dawn. A crowd flowed over London Bridge, so many. I had not thought death had undone so many. So it's like this city is turning as a zombie land where you find that people are moving but they are like dead people. They don't have any life in themselves. So all these people are like dead, and that's why he is referring. I had not thought death had undone so many. Sighs, short and infrequent, were exhaled, and each man fixed his eyes before his feet. They are walking without even looking upward. So they are too mechanical. એટલે એકદમ મશીનની જેમ ચાલે છે. Flowed up the hill and down King William Street to where St. Mary Woolnoth kept the hours, with a dead sound in the final stroke of 9. Even this, when the clock sounds 9, he is referring as a dead sound of a final stroke. Like પેલો જે ઓફિસ આવર હોય છે એની જેમ, that this is like an office hour, એ પૂરો થાય ત્યારે એકદમ final stroke ની જેમ બધા છૂટે છે and they are going home. There I saw one I knew and stopped in crying. Statson. So this is an imaginary character, a character in the poem. He is telling to him, you who were with me in the ships at Mealy, and that corpse you planted last year in your garden, has it begun to sprout? Will it bloom this year? Or has the sudden frost disturbed its bed? Oh, keep the dog far hence, that's friend to man, or with his nails he will dig it up again. You hypocrite, lector, mon semblable. Now these are the words from a different language, because T.S. Eliot was a vast reader and he has used too many references from different disciplines, from different language as well as from different cultures as well. You will find that this poem, The Wasteland, is ending with Indian or Hinduist words, that is Om Shanti Shanti. So this is a poem. Here also here also the poet is referring that about the corpse, that someone has planted but then it is not sprouting. Has it begun to sprout? But it is unanswered. કે કઈક વસ્તુ ઉગાડી છે પણ ઉગતી નથી. So though they are keeping everything perfectly, but then કઈ પણ વસ્તુ છે ઉગતી નહીં, because this is the wasteland. Wasteland એટલે ખરાબાની જમીન કે જ્યાં કઈ પણ વસ્તુ ઉગી શકતી નથી, not a fertile land. So here you find that this way the author is referring to unreal city or how urban life is portrayed, that it becomes a dead and it turns to zombie land because of this industrialization and the establishment of factories. Now after these lines, suddenly there is the beginning of the second part. અહીંયા પૂરો થઈ જાય એક પાર્ટ અને બીજો પાર્ટ તરત શરૂ થઈ જાય. Even the name of this part is Game of Chess. And then it begins like the chair she sat in like a burnished throne, glowed in the marble where the glass held up by standards wrought with fruited wines. So you will find that there is no connection between these part and these lines. એટલે આ બંને વચ્ચે તમને કોઈ પણ જાતનું કનેક્શન દેખાતું નથી. Here you find that it is about one narrator. He is calling someone else, so somewhere you will refer it here as he, means narrator, and here it is she sat in, glued on the marble where the glass. પેલા એક છોકરાને બોલાવ્યા છે એને જો એની સાથે you find that he is calling this boy, and suddenly there is a description of a she, the female, and whatever she is doing. So this how there are different fragments or pieces, and all these fragments are put together in the poem. Ani Jamaj, you will find that it becomes very difficult for us to establish and find unity in these five parts. So this is just a piece from the poem. આ ખાલી એક નાનકડો ટુકડો છે. Poem is longer than this. આની કરતા પણ બહુ મોટી poem છે. But we have seen the poem to find that there are too many metaphors which are referring death, unreal city, under the brown fog. So these type of metaphors are used to present that the city is destructed. Are you getting me clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
But before we proceed, let us see one clip which is referring to similar situation. You will find that there is one film that is Modern Times by Charlie Chaplin, and this film is also presenting the situation of industrialization, that how uh, became man became machine at the time. So there is no sound, આમાં કોઈ અવાજ નથી, there is only music, so it is okay if you are not able to listen anything. And just tell me if it is visible clearly or not.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. Okay, so I hope you have noticed that the person becomes very much mechanical. So he starts working as a machine, and whatever he is doing is actually just following his habits of this fitting that nuts and bolts. So this becomes very much mechanical, that he is not able to observe that which is the non-living being or non-living thing, and who is the person. So this is just a small clip. If you wish to see the entire film, it is very interesting. And this film is produced in 1936 after World War First. And so this becomes very interesting because the film is noticing too many things in a very realistic way, that how people are being machines and mechanical. Okay, so uh, let us move forward. This stream of consciousness means As I told you that it is a narrative technique. It is a narrative technique, a mode or method that attempts to depict the multitudinous thoughts and feelings which pass through the mind of a narrator. In which we have already done this, but it is just for your revision. That this is the way in which this modernist fiction is written. So, mostly the fictions of Virginia Woolf, James Joyce, as well as D.H. Lawrence, they were writing in such a manner in which there are two long interior monologues, and the is uh, narrator's ideas and his thought process is revealed. You will find that it is the narrative technique, narrative mode or method that attempts to depict the multitudinous thoughts એટલે કે એક સરખા નહીં but multiple, it is possible that you are thinking about different things simultaneously, or at one time your thoughts are passing through different subjects, so it is presenting multitudinous thoughts and feelings which pass through the mind of a narrator. It also refers to a style of writing that is organized around the interior flow of thoughts of the narrator. Whatever he is thinking, it is presented directly without any editing, or that's why we are not able to find any coherency in the fictions of modernist literature. Sometimes you can also notice that it doesn't have beginning, climax, and end. It can be seen that uh, you can start reading from any page of the novel. ગમે ત્યાંથી ને વાંચવાનું શરૂ કરો, એમાં કોઈ યુનિટી જોવા મળતી નથી, એ બધું સરખું જ છે, because it is already a fragmented piece of work. As we have seen one poem, that is the Wasteland. Wasteland આપણે જોઈએ તો એના 5 પાર્ટ છે, ગમે તે પાર્ટ ગમે ત્યાંથી શરૂ કરો. You can start your reading from third part. There is no problem in it because you will get the idea very easily, and you will not find કે એમાં પેલા છોકરો નાનો હોય પછી મોટો થાય એવું કોઈ આવતું નથી, that you need to read it from the beginning. So you can start your reading from any part. Like this, there are fictions which you can start at any page. So this is an interior flow of thoughts. It is describing interior flow of thoughts, that how one person is thinking, just as our thoughts flow unconnected. Of course, our thoughts don't have any connection with each other, unconnected and sometimes disorganized. Sometimes nahi, but mostly એવું કહી શકાય that they are disorganized. એમાં કોઈ organization કે coherency હોતી નથી. A stream of consciousness writing is often disjointed and often lacks traditional sentence structure. Of course, it doesn't have this traditional sentence structure and punctuation. એવું કંઈ પણ હોતું નથી, and that's why it becomes very difficult for us to understand these type of fiction. There is one example of these type of fiction. This is the passage taken from a novel, Mrs. Dalloway, and this novel is written by Virginia Woolf, in which there is a character, Clarissa Dalloway, and she is thinking while she watches cars driving by. એટલે કે જે કાર છે એ બધી જાય છે, એ જોતા જોતા એ શું વિચારે છે, this thought process is described. I'm reading the passage. She had a perpetual sense as she watched the taxi cabs. So the situation is already given. She watched the taxi cabs of being out, far out to sea and alone. She always had the feeling that it was very, very dangerous to live even one day. Not that she thought herself clever or much out of the ordinary. How she had got through life on the few twigs of knowledge Frowling Daniels gave them, she could not think. So this way she is thinking about his past. She knew nothing, no language, no history. She scarcely read a book now, except memoirs in bed. And yet to her it was absolutely absorbing. All this, the cabs passing, and she would not say of Peter, she would not say of herself, I am this, I am that. So, this becomes highly philosophical, like this far out to sea and alone. She always had the feeling that it was very, very dangerous to live even one day. Now, she knew nothing, no language, no history. Now all these metaphors, these sentences are referring towards that it is very pessimistic and very philosophical. Somewhere the person uh, is very intelligent and thinking about very serious things. But then there is also narration, there is also description that the cabs passing. So this way you can refer that while she watches cars કે ખાલી cabs કે car pass થાય છે એ દરમિયાન એ શું વિચારે છે, so she is thinking something very different. Situation ભલે એક સાવ સામાન્ય છે, but her thought process leads her somewhere else. So this is called સ્ટ્રીમ ઓફ કોન્શિયસનેસ ટેકનિક, કે જે પણ વિચારતા હોય જરૂરી નથી કે એ સમયે તમે એક ઓર્ડરમાં કે કોહેરન્સમાં વિચારો, because thoughts don't have order and coherency, and that's why this novels, the fictions which has this technique, which have this technique, they are also not put in coherence and order. એટલે એ પણ એટલા order અને coherenceમાં નથી. You will find that many times there are different thoughts put together, અલગ અલગ પ્રકારના, ક્યાંય કનેક્શન કે છેડા ન મળતા હોય એવા બધા જ વિચારો છે ભેગા કરીને મૂકવામાં આવે છે. Okay, so this is one passage of stream of consciousness technique. You will find that they all are, these all sentences are discussing different things, somewhere philosophical, અને વળી પાછું કેબમાં આવી જઈએ, વળી પાછું she is referring to another character, વળી પાછું pastમાં આવી જાય, she is referring thinking about some other character, like this. I hope you are getting me clearly. Let us move forward. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you may have studied this surrealism. Uh, yes or no? This is one form of art. This surrealism is actually a term. Uh, it also relates us towards modernist literature and modernist art, and that's why I'm referring this. It is also in your syllabus, surrealism. Now, surrealism, simple meaning of this word is beyond realism. Sur means beyond. Sur is equal to, beyond, and realism, beyond reality. So the simple meaning of surrealism is it means beyond reality. So realism is very rational and logical, but this is something to present alternate reality which is not accessible through consciousness. So if you have studied psychology, then you can understand that there are three states of mind, that is conscious, unconscious, and subconscious. So these is referring to unconscious. Unconscious means dreams, our fantasy, as well as hallucinations. They all are unconscious. So what if we want to present something which we have seen in our dreams? What if we want to present something which we are viewing in our unconscious mind? What if we want to say something that is not real? Then we have to access, we have to put these things which is not accessible through our consciousness. For this we have to go for our dreams and hallucinations. So this is surrealist paintings or surrealist literature. They are putting the things which the writer is witnessing through dreams and hallucinations. So these things are put directly in the art. Like ભલે સાંધા મેળ વગરનું હોય, જરાય રેશનલ ન હોય, આડા અવડું હોય. ફોર એક્ઝામ્પલ, ડ્રીમ્સ આર નોટ લોજિકલ. ડ્રીમ્સ છે ક્યારેય લોજિકલ હોતા નથી. એ કેવા હોય, એમાં કોઈ શરૂઆત નથી, કોઈ એન્ડ નથી, કે એમાં કોઈ પણ લોજિક નથી. ઇટ ઇઝ નોટ રેશનલ. બટ સ્ટીલ this surrealist literature or surrealist arts, they are putting everything, whatever the writer is witnessing through dreams and hallucination, because it believes in presenting the same thing which they cannot witness through reality. So this is what are the characteristics of surrealism? That is dream and fantasy sequence. There are in fiction you find that dream is narrated or fantasy sequences are there કે એક character છે તો એનું જે સપનું આવે છે આખે આખું નેરેટ કરેલું છે, though it is not in coherent order or though it is not in sequence, sequence ન હોય, સાંધામેળ વગરનું હોય, but then also they are putting it directly as it is, and irrational elements are put as it is, and because they want to reveal the unconscious mind. As I said that there is an effect of psychology as a discipline. સાયકોલોજી એક નવી જે ડિસિપ્લિન છે એની ઇફેક્ટ છે બધા પર થઈ છે, ઇવન ટુ આર્ટિસ્ટ as well as literary authors and people as well. That's why they are reading this. So even reader wants to read these type of narrations. So because they followed this psychological theories of unconscious mind, so the surrealist art is also putting the unconscious mind and the events of dreams and fantasy as it is. So the leader of this surrealism is Andre Breton, and he has said that it is to resolve the previously contradictory conditions of dream and reality into an absolute reality, a super reality or surreality. So somewhere you want to put and consider it as real. So there is a very slight difference between this reality and dream, which you have to notice in this surrealist art, because they are putting dreams and unconscious mind directly as it is, to reveal that the situation they are facing is also irrational, and they are actually fighting against rationality of Victorian age. As I said earlier, આપણે જે પહેલા ભણી ગયા, that this is actually a reaction against Victorian realism. You may have studied, when you have studied this Victorian literature, that Victorian literature is realistic, so they are fighting against realism. So that's why they have developed this surrealism, and they have adopted this technique in the art. Now let us see an example of a surrealism. It is a movement in painting and then in literature. Can you see this picture?
Yes, ma'am.
So the name of the picture is The Persistence of Memory, and it is painted by Salvador Dali. What you can see here in the painting, how it is different?
Ma'am, it's showing time.
Okay. Is there anything unconventional you are noticing in the picture? Something different if you're noticing in the picture, for example?
એટલે મેમ એ જે વસ્તુ પર ઘડિયાળ દોરેલી છે એનું એની મેમરી હશે.
Okay, if you watch this clock, you know, you find that this is clock means something hard. Like clock એક એવી વસ્તુ છે that is a hard object. તમે ઘડિયાળ હાથમાં પહેરો કે દિવાલ પર ટીંગાડો, this is this you will not find any clock like this you cannot find. A soft object નથી કે એ વળી જાય કે bent થઈ જાય. So another name of this painting is melting clock. Melting clock. So clocks are like they are melting. અહીંયા જુઓ તમે, or you can even see here. And yes, by the way, what this is, there is a kind of a figure which is slipping. Uh, what will you name this? આને શું નામ આપશો તમે? What is it?
It's like a bird, or dead
Okay.
bird. Yeah.
Okay, something like bird or something. Yes,
Cows.
cow. Okay. Okay, so this is something like a creature
Yes, ma'am. But
or
it's like a dead creature.
dead or slipping, or it is like an unknown creature or like a monster. When something is unknown, we consider it monster. અને આપણે શું કહેશું? Monster. This is a creature which is not familiar to us, and that's why we will call it monster. And these are some melting clocks. There is another clock as well, but it is not melting. Here you will find this, but this is not melting. It is the only clock or something like a clock which is not melting. Otherwise each and every clocks are melting. So there is water here. So this painting is actually talking, this is a surrealist painting talking about time, memory and dreams. So three things it is talking about, that is time, memory and dream. So mostly these clocks are not only for indicating time, but it is also indicating memory. સમય એટલે ખાલી સમય જ દેખાડે છે એવી રીતે નહીં, but it is also indicating our memory, as well as this painting is talking about dream. So we can analyze this painting, that this is something, this painting is presenting something irrational, કેમ કે clocks છે ક્યારેય melting હોતી નથી, એટલે કે બહુ hard object છે. You can never witness any clock, કોઈ પણ clock તમે લઈ લો, even હાથમાં ઘડિયાળ પહેરો છો તેનું dial છે એ પણ એટલું soft નથી. It is a hard object and it cannot melt. એ melt થાય કે આવી રીતે આમ સૂકવી શકાય અને ઝાડ પર, એવું possible નથી. But because this is a surrealist painting, the Salvador Dali was actually a follower of Sigmund Freud, and he considers Sigmund Freud as his father and psychology as a discipline. He was influenced too much by this, and that's why you find that this painting is considered a surrealist painting, because it is discussing time, memory and dream. Where you find a dream, whatever you're dreaming, it doesn't have rationality. કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ તમે ડ્રીમમાં જુઓ છો તો એ ક્યારેય રેશનલ હોતું નથી, એ હંમેશા આડું અવળી વસ્તુ છે, ભેગી થયેલી હોય છે. And this is always irrational, and that's why this painting also looks very much irrational, because it talks about a time, memory. As time is passing, you find that the clocks are melting in sunlight, because this is the day, so you can say sunlight there, sunlight is there. આ કેવો છે? સમય સવારનો છે, that's why you can say that time is of morning time. So the clocks means time is passing, clocks are melting, as if we are going through our lost memories, or we are thinking about our memory. So you can find that there are too many explanation of this painting. તમે એનું explanation જોઈ શકો છો. Even you can find very good videos explaining about this painting, but this is just an example. અત્યારે આપણે ખાલી an example તરીકે જોઈએ છીએ that this way there are many paintings and literary works which are written or painted in this way, which presents surreality, means something beyond reality. They are talking about something irrational, or the presentation is something irrational, but they want to present the unconscious mind, or the thoughts which comes in our unconscious mind. કે unconscious mind છે જે રીતે એ આપણી અંદર છે એને સીધે સીધું present કરી દેવામાં આવે છે, though it is not in a sequence, though it doesn't follow any order or coherency, but it is put as it is. So this is also one of the modernist art. આપણ એક modernism ની અંદર આવે છે surrealism, but that is a different term in painting and literature. In literature, you will find that some authors like Andre Breton, and there are many who has written in this because they have followed in their writing the sequence of hallucination and dreams directly in their fictions. Now there is another movement. It is called Dadaism. Dadaism nahi, but it is not about Dadagiri, but it is a Dadaism. This is again something like surrealism. Surrealism જેવું જ છે, but somewhere it is different. Now, whenever we are talking about art, mostly we find that something very beautiful, or which can give us pleasure. આપણે જ્યારે પણ આર્ટ વિશે વાત કરીએ ત્યારે એવું લાગે કે હા, આર્ટ એટલે તો કંઈક બ્યુટીફુલ જ હોય, કોઈક સુંદર જ વસ્તુ હોય કે જે આપણને જોવું ગમે. It can provide us aesthetic pleasure. Art એટલે તો કે it provides aesthetic delight to us, but it is not always so. This Dadaism is a movement which began in reaction to World War First. જે માણસે World War First જેવી વસ્તુ witness કરી હોય, he of course is not interested in beauty and pleasure and everything like this. So this movement is in reaction to World War First, and it rejected logic, reason, and aestheticism of modern capitalist society. So બધું સુંદર અને સારું, logical, reasonable હોય એવું જરૂરી નથી. So this movement is rejected which is logical, reasonable, and aesthetic. The concept of aestheticism, which is developed by capitalist society. Capitalist means rich class. So which is developed by rich class and rich art. So it has rejected everything, and it is expressing something nonsensical, irrational, and anti-bourgeois, means anti-capitalist protest in their work. So they are protesting against the concept of aestheticism, which was developed by capitalist society. So they are presenting something nonsense. એને જોઈને જ આપણે આ nonsense છે, but yes, they are expressing themselves. So the term anti-art is actually a precursor to this Dadaist movement. Now this anti-art એટલે એવું જે beautiful નથી, જે sensical નથી, પણ જેને આપણે nonsense કહીએ. So this term was first developed anti-art, and then this anti-art became precursor of the Dadaist movement. This anti-art was coined by Marcel Duchamp around 1913. You can notice these years to characterize works that challenge accepted definitions of art. Now this is challenging the accepted definitions of art. So what is the accepted definition of art? That art means which can give us pleasure, delight, જેને જોવાની મજા આવે, માણવાની મજા આવે, વાંચવાની મજા આવે, and something very much good and beautiful. But every time it is not so. Every time it cannot give us delight. So here is one example. This Marcel Duchamp is a person known for his artwork, and let me show you what he has done. Now can you see the image?
Yes, ma'am.
It looks like urinal, but it is not. It is actually an artwork by Marcel Duchamp, and it is the name of the artwork is Fountain. It is actually a fountain, and this Of course, it is an example of a dadaist art. You will find that it is something like nonsensical. Nonsensical કેવું હોય તો આને કહી શકાય nonsense because it looks like urinal but it is not. It is actually a fountain. So this is challenging the accepted definition of artwork. એટલે જરૂરી નથી કે આર્ટ હંમેશા ડિલાઇટ આપે. સમટાઈમ્સ ઇટ ઇઝ કેવો રસ ઉદ્ભવે છે આપણામાં તો કે બીભત્સ. Something you don't like, something which is not giving you pleasure. So who has witnessed this situation of war, or who has witnessed this pessimistic life, they cannot give you delight. કે જે માણસની લાઈફ આટલી દુઃખી હોય કે જેને દુઃખ જોયું હોય, they have witnessed everything irrational, they cannot be rational. So there is one very good proverb which is prevailing in everyone's mind. આપણે બધા એવું માનીએ છીએ that સારા કર્મો કરો સારા ફળ મળશે. But sometimes though people are doing good things, good karmas, they are not receiving any good results. So it means that this is not rational, એટલે કે rational નથી, logical નથી. So these people have changed the definition of art. So this way they are presenting the art, this fountain which looks like urinal, it becomes very famous, and it is also the best example of modernist art. That modernist art is not conventional, like a junu rudigat nahi, but something very much different, and it is challenging the conventional definition of art. The last one, this is the last slide. Now how this dadaism is affecting literature. So there is one author, that is Tristan Tzara. Tristan Tzara in his work, in his manifesto, or which we call journal, said about Dadaist poem, and he said how to write a Dadaist poem. So this way this is a very famous picture of what he has described. So I'm reading this. To make a Dadaist poem, take a newspaper, take a pair of scissors, choose an article as long as you are planning to make your poem. Cut out the article, then cut out each of the words that make up this article and put them in a bag. Shake it gently, then take out the scraps one after the other in the order in which they left the bag. Copy conscientiously, the poem will be like you. And here you are, writer, infinitely original and endowed with a sensibility that is charming, though beyond the understanding of the vulgar. So this way he is telling to do fragments, to cut the pieces of newspaper, collect it, and then shake it well. So you just gather one newspaper cutting. એવું કહે છે કે ન્યૂઝપેપર છે એમાંથી કોઈ પણ એક આર્ટિકલ પસંદ કરો, એના ટુકડે ટુકડા કરી નાખો, એના વર્ડ્સ છે બધા એ જુદા કરી નાખો, અને એને એક બેગમાં ભરી દો, એને જોરથી શેક કરો, શેક ઇટ વેલ, અને પછી એને બેગમાંથી જે પણ ઓર્ડરમાં કાઢો છો એ પ્રમાણે ગોઠવતા જાઓ. You will find that it is nonsensical, but though you are the original writer of that poem. So he is talking about this fragments, how to put together and patch everything. So this is the life of this artist, and that's how they are viewing the art as well. Like એ લોકોની લાઈફ કેવી છે તો કે ફ્રેગમેન્ટ્સમાં વિખરાયેલી, and that's why they are seeking unity and coherency, wholeness in art and literature. And that's why modernist art is very much experimental, novel, and unconventional. I hope you're getting me clearly.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Is it clear to you? Everything is clear to you?
Ma'am, મને એક ડાઉટ છે.
Yeah, sure.
મેમ સર્રિયલિઝમ અને આપણે જે હમણાં કર્યું ડેડલિઝમ, એ બે અંદર મોડર્નિઝમના જ પાર્ટ છે કે અલગ ઇઝમ જ છે?
Just a minute.